You've tuned into another edition of The Break Room, a weekly conversation about how the City of St. Augustine works from those who do the work every day. Hosted by the City of St. Augustine's Communications Director, Melissa Whistle, The Break Room offers a closer look at the different city departments and provides updates on current and upcoming projects and events. And now, your host, Melissa Whistle.
Welcome to The Break Room. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Melissa Whistle, Communications Director for the City of St. Augustine. This week, we have a dynamic duo in the studio, first time pairing on air, not their first appearance in the break room. However, Glabra Skipp, our Environmental Program Coordinator, and Mark Hartley, Streets and Grounds Manager. Welcome back to both of you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
So you guys have both been on here before, but today we're going to talk about some of the programs and projects that you're working on together. And the first one I want to talk about is the Tree Canopy Enhancement Program. It was more than you expected. In a good way. Who wants to start?
Yes, I'll start. We opened up applications June 1st of last year, and we had almost 60 applications the very first day.
Wow.
So we had an enormous outreach with the program. It was very well taken. We got over 179, I believe, applications.
Wow.
For the entire 3 months that we were open. So it was very, very well taken.
So 60 applications the first day,
Yes.
179 total. And did all 179 applicants get trees?
No, there was some criteria.
Okay.
And some folks changed their mind over time. And so with it being a first-year program, we had a few kinks, but we knew we would have those. So overall, a lot of satisfied people.
So let's talk about what is it? How did people apply? What was the purpose of it? Give us the recap.
So with all the recent storms over the last few years, St. Augustine has lost a lot of its canopy. We were originally thinking, right-of-ways, city properties. Our right-of-ways are very tight, and so we expanded it into private properties. So the whole idea is to expand the canopy citywide, and we thought that'd be the best way to add it in.
And when you talk canopy and right, so canopy is how many trees we have in the city and
how many trees of value?
Of value,
yes.
Okay.
Preferably native.
Okay.
Preferably with a larger canopy to them.
And right-of-ways are those little spaces between the sidewalk and the curb?
That is correct.
There's not a lot of that.
There's not much.
No.
Yeah.
So by expanding it into private property requires participation and commitment from property owners.
Correct. So they had to sign a legal agreement allowing us, the city or our contractor, access to their property to actually plant the tree. So we took care of the cost of the tree, the cost of planting the tree. There was no cost to the applicants.
And what kind of tree? Where do I get to plant it?
We did site inspections,
Okay.
Either in person with the homeowner or outside, and then followed up. We took into consideration right tree, right place, not planting under power lines, encroaching into the home itself, just room for the tree to expand out. Okay. And so that was part of our criteria, utilities underground, all of those things were taken into consideration.
And I want to point out, too, one of our criteria is that you had to be within city limits.
Okay.
So even though we had 179 applicants, not all of them were within city limits. So that's what kind of cut back our numbers as well. And by the end, we ended up with 85 trees that were plugged into the ground, planted, installed by the city as part of this program.
And then if I got the tree, I do have to water it.
Correct.
Okay. And when you talk right tree, right place, that's also another kind of planting environmental thing, is making sure you're putting the right tree in the right place. You don't want to put a shade tree somewhere where there's overexposure of sun or vice versa.
Yeah, it's very true. And also the size of the tree. We didn't put like Arbor Day giveaway trees, which are great,
right?
For saplings and all, but these were 30-gallon size. Okay. And so they had the best chance for surviving.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a tree that I'm going to have to wait 10 years to see to get decent size. It came in at a decent size.
Yeah. Some of these trees are already 10 foot.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah,
another thing to keep in mind, too, is utility lines. You have underground and overhead. You've got FPL lines, you've got water and sewer lines. So those can be a challenge to work around.
And you, Mark, you walked most of the properties? Not every property.
Probably 80% of them.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what was that like? You had some help from other city staff?
Yep, JB. JB helped a lot. Give him big props for that.
Right.
He helped me out a lot. And so some sites took 2 or 3 visits.
Okay.
So if they weren't originally home and then they wanted some clarity or some advice on, front yard, backyard, I have future plans for construction, all of those things. So some sites we visited as many as 3 times.
And it took you, so the applications go in June. And so let me ask this question real quick while we're on the subject of June. That's right around the corner. Will we be doing this again? Tell us about the program for what it looks like this year.
Yes, we are planning on doing this again. We have yet to determine the species. Our thought is to diversify the species year after year so we're not getting the same 9 tree species every year. So we still have that detail to work out, but we are planning on opening up applications in June for the next cycle.
What's the timeline start to finish, roughly? Is there one?
Yes. So we had because of the enormous amount of applications, I think that put a little crunch on the time. We ended up going a little bit beyond where we had initially anticipated. We want to do the planting in the cooler months of the year. So this year they were done in March. Potentially next year it might be done a little bit earlier, but overall it worked out really well and we're just tweaking those details.
And you certainly learned from that first overwhelming response. Are there going to be restrictions or any type of number restrictions? How are you going to, any thoughts? Not decided that yet.
1 per residence
Okay.
is the main one. We'd like to have new applicants,
Okay.
but certainly people that got trees this year are welcome to apply as well.
Okay. If you're just now tuning in, you're listening to The Break Room. I have Glabra Skipp sitting in the break room with me. She is the Environmental Program Coordinator, as well as Mark Hartley, our Streets and Grounds Manager. We've just been talking about the Tree Canopy Enhancement Program. Mark and Glabra work together on lots of initiatives, and one I want to circle back on is the Monarch Butterflies, the Mayor's Monarch Butterfly Pledge. We did that about this time last year. Can you give us, how did it go? Are we doing it again? Tell us about the Butterfly Pledge. Don't stop. Don't you both jump at once.
So we do plan on year 2. We're in the stages of application for that, and you have criteria that you have to meet. You have to pick 5 categories each year, and so we're in the process of choosing those 5 categories, and we do plan on continuing that for a second year.
And that's a pledge that basically it's a green initiative or it's a planting initiative. Help me understand.
Yes.
Remind our listeners what its purpose is.
So the purpose is to protect the monarch butterfly, to save the monarch butterfly, increase the numbers of monarch butterflies. Last year, what we did was Mark and his crew planted native milkweed at some key locations around town, and we actually planted some too at our wastewater treatment plant as the monarchs. That's their sole food source.
And the operative word being native.
Yes,
Native. Okay.
We're encouraging native milkweed, not the non-native milkweed. That the non-native variety is easy to find at local stores. The native takes a little bit more effort. But we did plant several locations with the native milkweed species, and we did a proclamation that included the monarch butterflies and some social media push as well. So we're looking for this next cycle at how we can expand on that and grow our monarch butterfly initiatives with the city.
So we'll plant more native. Is native milkweed the only plant, or it's the most desirable plant, or?
It's preferred for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did we see an increase in our monarch butterfly? I mean, do we know?
We don't really know.
Okay.
I mean, I can't give you exact
Right.
numbers, but the monarch butterflies, the caterpillars feed solely on the native milkweed.
Okay.
The butterflies themselves will use other species for their nectar sources, but the caterpillars need that milkweed. So I would like to say, yes, we did. We did our part, and we did encourage butterflies. I know, my office is down at the wastewater plant. We saw extra butterflies there this past year. So I think it's worth continuing. It's worth growing on.
And the city does this as part of a lot of programs that we have. We do participate in a lot of initiatives, but it is an application process. I mean, we could be doing it, but by doing the pledge, what does that give us?
It goes on the website, so there is some notoriety. Like it does give us some credentials for doing that
For our green initiatives.
Yes.
Partnering with other cities as well. It's kind of canvases the state.
And the city of St. Augustine is very proactive in a lot of things. Glabra, you're right on the cutting edge of a lot of the environmental programs that we do. The grease traps, we've got an eco green program that we're rolling out one of these days. I know we've talked about it and it kind of hit the skids with COVID, but
correct. So we had the Tree Canopy was a big initiative. It took a lot of time to get that in place. Just recently, we implemented the composting program. So that one is getting into place. We've accepted applications for that, and those are going to be rolling out pretty soon. So the next one is the Green Business Initiative that we're going to be working on.
Let me circle back on the composting for a second. We talked about that with Olivia a little bit, and I think you learned a lesson with the Tree Canopy effort with when you did the composting that you guys kind of set a limit, if you will, or just said, we can't take all applications. And you ran out of your inventory in an hour on the website with that one.
It went until 9 o'clock in the morning. You're correct. We did. And the composting is being branded as a pilot program. So we weren't sure how it was going to be received. A lot of cities offer just one type of composting bin. It goes on the ground. There's no options. So we wanted to test out what options looked like as far as a tumbling unit versus a ground unit. So we're going a little differently than a lot of cities have. So we wanted to pilot that and see how it went.
Did you see a preference of one bin style over the other?
It seems like the tumbling unit had some preference, but it will be interesting too to poll the residents after they get them to see if how that's working for them, how the longevity of that unit is holding up as far as all the components, and it's got a few moving pieces versus the one that sits on the ground.
You guys really keep us on the forefront, I have to say. And while this composting initiative sounds like, oh, we're just going to put out compost bins, there's going to be follow-up. There's going to be a survey. If it's well received, could it expand?
Yes.
And then more residents could get it. It could be something that everyone gets down the road, potentially.
Correct. It could be a reoccurring.
Set anybody's expectations that everybody's going to get a composting bin.
Right. It could be a reoccurring program. And similarly with that, follow up with the residents. We plan on doing that with our Tree Canopy program as well. Looking at these trees down the road to see the survivability. Are the residents taking care of them? How is it working out? And we'll be able to map all of this and share that with the community as well.
I think that's something too that for my office as the communications department is not just getting people in and signed up, but that feedback, getting the feedback from them to know what's working, what's not working, and really trying to listen to the residents. That's where the composting came from, didn't it? We took a survey.
Right. There was a survey a few years ago, I believe, that it was a huge survey. I mean, a lot of respondents came to that. So
people seem to respond well to initiatives, things that we try to do.
Green initiatives, right?
That's right. Mark, what are you guys doing down there in Streets and Grounds? Keeping busy?
Yeah, we're kicking off the spring season. So the grass is growing and we're doing our cutbacks on the trees, putting out fresh flowers in all our hanging baskets, and just freshening up the city. Taking a deep breath after nights of lights,
right,
and getting things back together.
And getting the plaza ready for concerts in the plaza.
Exactly.
That's going to be coming around the corner.
We've got sod going in next week in the bare spots, and just from the wear and tear from all the foot traffic. So next week you'll see some fresh sod going back in there.
And the city's really booming. You guys stay busy all the time.
Yeah, being down here every day and really walking the downtown district, we have had no lapse of visitors.
Yeah.
Usually you have a little bit of a lull. This year, absolutely none. But it's great. It's good to see the city thriving.
Good. Well, thank you both for coming. And good to hear all the great things that you're busy taking care of, keeping us green and clean.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
If you missed part of this broadcast and you want to go back and listen from the beginning, or if you'd like to hear past interviews, you can find us on the web at citysainaug.com. You can follow us on any of our social media platforms. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at City St. Aug. Visit us on the web at citysainaug.com. And thanks again for tuning in. Until next time.
You've been listening to The Break Room, a weekly program addressing projects and programs offered by the City of St. Augustine. Join us each week as the city's communications director, Melissa Wissel, has in-depth conversations with the people who make our town work to meet the needs of our community. The Break Room is produced by communications specialist for the City of St. Augustine, Cindy Walker. See you at this time next week for another edition of The Break Room.